Musashi is an ugly, disgusting, pathetic loser who lost his parents when a sickness spread through the village. However, instead of people feeling sorry for him, they felt like it was something right because Musashi's parents never believed in the village masters called Oni. According to the law, Musashi had to be taken in by his relatives. But his uncle refused to take him in. Musashi kneeled for days in the front door until they finally decided to take him in. He was so grateful and promised to help them as much as he could with chores. However, the family wanted him to follow some rules. They wanted him to avoid any attention and to never speak to his parents' friends ever again. Musashi didn't understand why, but that question only got him a beating. Musashi agreed, but one day, he noticed his uncle forgot lunch at home and decided to deliver it. Turns out, he receives a massive beating as a thank you. From then on, Musashi lived in silence, feeling like an outsider, wishing someone would notice him and value him. However, one day, he saw a young kid named Kojiro practicing some sword skills. Kojiro hides his sword because he's from a bushi family, which is highly discriminated in the village. But instead of judging Kojiro, Musashi felt impressed and wanted to also learn. They become best friends, training and playing together. Kojiro finally has a friend and wasn't alone anymore. As years passed by, Musashi started to attend school where he learns about history. In this land called Hinamoto, humans once lived peacefully. But then a powerful demon lord appeared, bringing an end to human rule. The generals fought bravely against these demons, known as Oni, but were defeated one by one. Yet, some descendants of these generals continued the fight against the Oni, refusing to give up. In the present day, the people of Hinamoto believe and worship the Oni as their gods and masters. They think that serving the Oni will make life easier, so many aspire to become miners, extracting a special ore for the Oni. But Musashi disagrees with this belief. At school, the teacher teaches that 150 years ago, the Bushi bands, warrior groups, were the monsters who made life hard for the people. However, Musashi doesn't buy into this idea. Musashi fondly remembers his childhood with Kojiro, practicing sword and finding joy in it. Kojiro's father once interrupted their training to tell them about the Bushi bands, who are fighting to free Hinamoto from the Oni's control. Kojiro asks if the Bushi can defeat the Oni, to which Musashi responds that they can since they fight together with their friends. Musashi suggests they become Bushi together and fight the Oni, a plan Kojiro agrees to. They make a promise to leave the village, form a warrior clan, and continue fighting the Oni. As Musashi reminisces, the teacher interrupts, announcing the next day's entrance ceremony where they'll start working in the mines and serve the Oni. The students are excited, imagining the glamorous appearance of the Oni. After school, Musashi seeks out Kojiro, but Kojiro isn't thrilled to see him. He tells Musashi to go home and prepare for the entrance ceremony, but Musashi surprises him with a unique pickaxe. Musashi explains that the pickaxe is his weapon, his katana, to fight the Oni. Since he doesn't want to work in the mines, Musashi insists they leave town and start their Bushi bands, just like they promised. However, Kojiro disagrees, saying a pickaxe can't be a katana. Musashi argues that it's his form of katana, as he's been training with the pickaxe while learning to dig. Suddenly, Kojiro's expression turns to anger as he accuses Musashi of lying. He says his whole life has been a lie, with his father misleading him about the Bushi being heroes and the Oni being monsters. Musashi tries to encourage him not to give up on his dream of being a Bushi, but Kojiro laughs bitterly, claiming that Musashi doesn't believe it himself. He points out how Musashi goes along with the other students, shouting about their dream to become miners. Musashi tries to defend himself, but Kojiro accuses him of being a liar, unable to proudly declare his dream of being a Bushi to those around him. In anger, Musashi leaves, with a resolve to prove Kojiro wrong. However, Kojiro's actions stem from his desire to spare Musashi from a miserable life like his own. Later that evening, Kojiro, with his sword by his side, picks up trash around town while enduring mockery from villagers. He recalls his father's advice to always carry the sword as a symbol of warrior identity. Despite facing ridicule from teachers and classmates, the heavy weight of the sword served as a constant reminder of his tough upbringing as he scavenged to survive, determined to spare Musashi, whom he considers a brother, from a similar fate. Kojiro opposes Musashi's desire to become a miner, fearing the hardships it entails. The following day marks the entrance ceremony for mining students, who gather at a massive gate with mixed emotions. While some anticipate meeting their esteemed masters, Musashi resolves to confront the Oni once inside. As the gatekeepers collect their belongings, including pickaxes, and usher them inside, the students are greeted by a terrifying sight. Oni attacking and devouring people, dispelling any notions of paradise. Undeterred, Musashi steps forward to face the Oni, only to realize he lacks his pickaxe. Enraged by his defiance, the Oni transform into a monstrous entity. Spotting a nearby pickaxe, Musashi attempts to strike, but is thrown back and severely injured. Despite pleas from fellow students to submit, Musashi remains steadfast, asserting that vanquishing the Oni is a Bushi's duty and prepares to confront them once more. One student protests, reminding Musashi that they are minors. Musashi hesitates, questioning why he misrepresented his true dream. This moment of doubt allows the Oni to strike him, yet Musashi persists in his efforts to retaliate. Amidst his struggle, he realizes he deceived himself to avoid societal rejection, losing sight of his true aspirations. The Oni seizes him, and an official proclaims that Musashi is fulfilling his dream as a minor, but Musashi vehemently declares his dream of becoming a Bushi. This incites the official's wrath, who commands Musashi's demise. Just as the Oni is poised to strike, Kojiro arrives on a special motorcycle known as a kaitsu mount, striking the Oni and rescuing Musashi, stunning everyone present. He hands Musashi his pickaxe and a note, after realizing that Musashi didn't lie about training his swordsmanship while working as a minor. The official yells that possessing the kaitsu mount is a capital offense and orders their execution. The Oni that was struck rises again. Kojiro finally agrees with his dad that Oni are indeed monsters. As more honest approach to carry out the order, Musashi sees it as an opportunity to prove himself to Kojiro. He sticks his axe into the ground behind him, using it as his sheath. While Kojiro worries about his stance, he notices is one of Musashi techniques. Musashi leaps into the air, pulling out his pickaxe, and slashes the demon in half, stunning everyone. As more Oni transform and prepare to fight, Musashi tells Kojiro that he didn't ask him to come along because he was scared, but because winning without Kojiro would be lonely. They begin fighting the Oni together, recalling their trainings together. Musashi then stretches out his hand, asking Kojiro to fight alongside him. Kojiro is touched and agrees to be Musashi's partner. Suddenly, a bright red light descends, and the officials worship as a Kishin and Oni Lord appears. Musashi and Kojiro ride the motorcycle toward the Kishin that descended from the sky, slaying Oni along the way and saving the miners. Musashi is thrilled, feeling like they're finally making their childhood dreams of starting their Bushi band come true. But Kojiro isn't as enthusiastic. As they approach the Kishin, they see a big red bird, but are shocked when the Kishin transforms into a huge red monster. Musashi and Kojiro are stunned by its size. The Kishin tries to stomp them, and they quickly drive away, but they're not able to get far before the Kishin destroys the ground, causing their motorcycle to fall. The Kishin transforms into a 6-armed monster, revealing its true form for the first time in 5 years. Hurt but standing, Kojiro urges Musashi to flee, but Musashi remains unconscious. Startled, Kojiro finds himself facing the looming Kishin. He tries to defend himself, but the Kishin seizes his sword to eat it. Musashi wakes up and witnesses the Kishin swinging Kojiro around while he holds onto the sword tightly. Kojiro is dragged across the ground by the Kishin. He recalls his past disdain for the sword. Although momentarily letting go, Kojiro quickly reclaims the sword. However, the Kishin eventually takes the sword and swallows it. Frustrated, Kojiro remembers his father's teachings about the sword's significance to a Bushi's pride, feeling he has failed to protect it. To Kojiro's surprise, Musashi runs toward the Kishin to retrieve the sword, jumping on it and climbing its stomach as he can't let the Kishin have it. He swings his pickaxe and attacks the stomach, causing the Kishin to scream in pain. He continues attacking, trying to shatter the stomach. The Kishin tries to smash him, but Musashi dodges the attacks, the Kishin unknowingly aiding in shattering its own stomach. With a final blow, Musashi shatters the stomach, causing the Kishin to fall to the ground and Musashi to fall into the stomach fluid. Kojiro rushes to the Kishin, thinking Musashi is gone, but he's surprised when Musashi emerges from the stomach unhurt, with the sword. Musashi gives it back, and Kojiro thanks him, almost in tears. Suddenly, the officials report that a Bushi band fortress is approaching, so Musashi and Kojiro climb a tower to get a better look. They see a massive fortress moving toward the quarry, but is blocked by a barrier. From the fortress, many Bushi riding motorcycles fly out, smashing through the barrier and heading towards the Kishin, ready to finish it off. This Bushi band is the Taika clan. Musashi and Kojiro are amazed at the sight of the Bushi band, watching as the warriors fly with their swords towards the Kishin. The leader of this bushy band, Captain Naotora, approaches them, saying children shouldn't be nearby and they should clear the area. Musashi defends that they are not children but Bushi and boasts about cutting open the Kishin's belly. However, Naotora laughs, saying just cutting the belly is not enough to defeat the Kishin, pointing out its quick regeneration. Musashi is shocked by this revelation. Naotora tells Musashi that they will handle the rest and orders the evacuation of the miners as they prepare to take down the Demon Lord. The Kishin starts shooting fire and Kojiro is shocked, suggesting they retreat as ordered. But Musashi refuses, feeling it's their first accomplishment. He becomes furious and prepares to fight the Kishin, despite Kojiro's warnings about the danger. Musashi insists on making their childhood dream come true, even if it means risking his safety. Musashi charges at the Kishin, while Kojiro weighs his options. He decides to follow Musashi's lead and rushes in. Musashi jumps and attacks the Kishin's stomach, shattering it, but is shocked when it immediately regenerates. Musashi suddenly finds himself wrapped in a glowing lasso, yanked away from the Kishin to the Take-Two clan camp. He pleads to be let go, telling everyone that the Kishin is his first prize. Naotora asks him why he's so eager to defeat the Kishin, and Musashi replies that it's his dream and he's willing to risk his life for it. Naotora tells him he's still too inexperienced and doesn't understand how dangerous it is to fight a Kishin. He shows him how it's taking the whole band to hold down just one of the Kishin's legs. But Musashi believes he'll regret it forever if he doesn't try. He breaks free from the lasso and charges at the Kishin. This time, Naotora doesn't stop him. He calls him a true Bushi for being ready to risk his life to prove his point. Musashi prepares to attack, and Kojiro decides to join him, looking for the best way to defeat the Kishin. Musashi raises his pickaxe and starts demolishing the ground, causing it to break apart. Then he leaps towards the Kishin, remembering Naotora's words that he can't defeat it alone, but feeling like he has to try. Kojiro shouts to him that the Kishin's weak spot is its horn on the navel. Musashi thanks him and tries to strike the horn, but his pickaxe breaks. Kojiro warns him about a fireball from the Kishin's mouth, but Naotora steps in, acknowledging Musashi's strength and determination not to give up. He says he will finish things and slashes the horn of the Kishin with a single strike. Musashi is frustrated that he couldn't win, but Naotora says it's for the best, as they're all fighting for their dreams. They both jump away as the Kishin explodes. The Take-Two clan starts absorbing the Kishin's power, which stuns Musashi. Naotora then announces their victory, and they celebrate together. Musashi and Kojiro feel a mix of emotions as they watch the warriors celebrating their victory. Kojiro notices something familiar about the scene, and Musashi remembers a drawing in one of the Bushi scrolls that Kojiro's father once showed them. As the miners express their gratitude to the Take-Two clan for freeing them, Kojiro sheds tears, realizing that his father was right. Bushi are the true heroes. They all head outside, where Captain Naotora delivers a speech about achieving a world without oppressors. He declares that his clan will make that dream possible and asks for the people's support, which they cheerfully give. Musashi is still frustrated about losing his first big achievement. He tries to keep his feelings in check, but eventually bursts out about his frustration. To his surprise, Naotora compliments him for speaking his mind out, even giving him a purple gem as a consolation prize, which they all joke about. Later that night, Musashi examines the gem and notices a marking indicating it belonged to an Eki official. He considers throwing it away, but realizes it looks like a kaleidoscope. He deduces that the gem allows them to see Oni. They decide to read the Bushi scroll to learn more about their history. As they read, they discover the Bushi's duty to defeat all the Kishin, return the treasures to the land, and unite the land as one, with the conqueror becoming the king of all the land. Musashi realizes that this is Naotora's dream and decides to confront him about it. Musashi meets Naotora and reveals that he's figured out Naotora's goal of uniting the world by defeating the Kishin. Naotora applauds him for figuring it out and expresses his determination to achieve it. However, Musashi argues that it's an impossible feat since no one has accomplished it in the last 150 years. Regardless, he vows not to let Naotora achieve it. Musashi declares that he will form his own band and defeat all the Kishin. Naotora smiles and encourages him to give it a try. Musashi and Kojiro then set out from their town to explore the rest of the country and pursue their dream. Musashi and Kojiro make a pact not to argue on their adventure, but when their food runs low, they start arguing. Kojiro brags that he's better at surviving and catches many fishes to prove it. Musashi tries to do the same on the other side of the river, but realizes they shouldn't be fighting. He hurries back to say sorry to Kojiro, but he finds him hurt on the ground. Musashi goes up to Kojiro, who tries to explain that a girl attacked him. Before Musashi can react, the girl jumps on him, pinning him down. Her name is Tsugumi, and she captures both of them, taking them to her clan's fortress where they're locked up. Later, the leader of the clan, Lord Hideo, scolds Tsugumi for not doing her job of catching skilled Bushi and persuading them to join their team. He warns her that when the next Oni attack happens, everyone, even kids and old folks, will be called to fight. Tsugumi argues that it's unfair to send the weak ones to battle. But Lord Hideo doesn't care. Tsugumi's eyes fill with tears as she tries to stand up to him. But she's scared of him. Tsugumi goes to ask Musashi and Kojiro about their motorcycle, but they notice she's been crying. They ask her what's wrong, and she tells them that a herd of Kodama are coming to their castle, and she's scared something bad will happen to the people. Musashi sees how upset she is and encourages her to speak up about her feelings. Tsugumi admits she's afraid to say she doesn't want the townspeople to fight. Although she knows she's right, she's too scared to stand up to Lord Hideo. As the Kodama Oni herd draws nearer, wreaking havoc along the way, Kojiro and Musashi manage to break out of their cell. Kojiro, using his fishing skills, snags the keys from the wall. They locate their motorcycle but still need to grab their weapons. With the morning light, they see the Kodama Oni herd clearly heading for the fortress. Meanwhile, Lord Hideo gathers everyone to discuss his plan of mobilizing the whole clan against the demon horde, assuring them of victory. But the villagers, hearing they must go to battle, immediately object. They're inexperienced in fighting, having spent their lives tending to farms. Despite their protests, Lord Hideo insists they should enjoy war, terrifying the people. When they try to flee, soldiers block their path. Suddenly, a smoke bomb is thrown, creating confusion. Lord Hideo spots Tsugumi and grows furious. She argues against his plan, believing protecting the people should come first. Lord Hideo suspects she's hiding something, searching for another attack. Tsugumi worries her distraction isn't working until Musashi and Kojiro, using the smoke as cover, take out the soldiers. Tsugumi thanks them and decides to confront Lord Hideo herself. She attacks him, resolved to protecting everyone, the same way her sister would have. But Lord Hideo, knowing her well, overpowers her, calling her useless. As he prepares to strike her down, Tsugumi defies him by spitting on his face, refusing to listen to his orders anymore. She vows to fight, rallying the villagers to stand with her. Drawing strength from their unity, she charges at Hideo, dodging his attacks. She realizes her fear of him comes from her fear of being alone, but now, with the villagers, she feels stronger. She unleashes her weapon's power, ready to protect everyone and keep their newfound family together. Lord Hideo, feeling scared, warns the people that he'll punish anyone who tries to leave. But Tsugumi assures them that this won't be the end. Even if they survive today, they'll still suffer under his rule, so they should stand up for themselves. Lord Hideo calls her weak and shoots arrows at her, but she blocks them, declaring even if she's not strong, she won't be afraid anymore. She ties him up with her green rope and then slams him to the ground. Seeing the Lord defeated, the people finally run to safety from the demon horde. Everyone is safe except for Tsugumi, who stays in the fortress, keeping Hideo prisoner. The demon horde draws near, and everyone calls out to her to escape, but she stays put as she wouldn't make it in time. Though scared, she accepts her fate, finding peace in knowing she protected everyone like her sister would have. But before she's crushed, Musashi and Kojiro ride in on their bike, swooping in to grab her hands, rescuing her and Hideo. Musashi praises her, saying she was really brave, which brings a smile to her face. Musashi invites Tsugami to join their group, and the trio heads to the next place. Musashi, using the purple gem, senses a blue Kishin up ahead that they should hunt down. In a dream, Musashi recalls a childhood incident where he threw a rock at Kojiro's father upon. Confused upon waking, Musashi spots an Oni chewing on Kojiro's sword. He chases after it, using his staff from his broken pickaxe to attack its horn, but it breaks. Undeterred, Musashi jumps on the Oni and continues attacking, despite the staff repeatedly breaking. Frustrated, the Oni throws him off. Musashi then sees a cloaked man named Shiro standing in a field of swords, mumbling to them. Feeling a sharp sensation when Shiro stares at him, Musashi accepts a sword from him, feeling a surge of energy coursing through him, leading to black crystals sprouting from his body. With newfound control over the sword's aura, Musashi slashes the demon's horn, saving Kojiro's sword. Impressed, Shiro inquires if it's Musashi's first time using a kaitsu sword, to which Musashi confirms. Despite feeling victorious, the sword suddenly shatters. Surprised but unconcerned, Shiro hints at Musashi being the one but remains unsure. Suddenly, a girl addresses Shiro as master, expressing annoyance at his obsession with kaitsu blades. They depart, leaving Musashi curious. When he asks for their names, Shiro dismisses them as dogs for hire. As Musashi begins to recount the events to Kojiro and Sugimi, he realizes the field of swords has vanished. They continue their journey on Kojiro's motorbike, and Sugimi accuses Musashi of dreaming. But he insists he wasn't, and that the kaitsu blade he held was so surreal, he can't wait to try it again. Curious, Kojiro asks what a kaitsu sword is, but Musashi couldn't answer. Sugimi then shows them her weapon, saying it's one and explaining it's the only thing that can break an Oni's horn. Kojiro comments that they might be rare to find since they are so unique, but Sugimi surprises them by saying they can just buy one. They arrive at a place with many Bushi's fortresses, which has become a small temporary market town. Sugimi explains that when a kishin is nearby, many Bushi bands will gather, so some merchants come to where they gather and sell kaitsu blades, food supplies, and other necessities for the Bushis. Musashi says a must-have for their Oni hunt is the kaitsu sword, excited to buy one, and Sugimi escorts him to look for one, leaving Kojiro, who tries to point out they don't have the money to buy one. The group stumbles upon a kaitsu blade auction, where the auctioneer announces 25 master-crafted blades up for grabs. Musashi marvels at the swords but feels overwhelmed by the choice. Mitsuru, the head smith, advises him to choose the one he feels drawn to. She explains the special bond between Bushis and their swords, marking the selection as a significant rite of passage into Bushihood. As the event unfolds, everyone searches for their perfect sword. Musashi is captivated by a fiery red blade, while Kojiro opts for an overlooked one. Mitsuru observes their choices approvingly, guiding them to grip the sword's hilts. When Musashi and Kojiro hold their chosen swords, a strange phenomenon occurs. They begin to glow. Mitsuru reveals it's the sword's trial, where it selects its rightful owner. Kojiro, feeling his pulse quicken, undergoes a profound experience as he confronts memories and challenges. Eventually, the sword glows blue, and ethereal stone wings emerge from his body, signifying completion. Sugimi congratulates him, and Kojiro feels a strong connection to his new blade. As others pass their trials smoothly, Kojiro is curious about the glowing colors. Mitsuru explains they represent the soul's essence. Mitsuru explains that there are 5 colors, and each color has a different power. Kojiro asks if his blue color is rare, but she says the blue color is normal, and almost everyone has it. However, a Bushi band should consist of users of yellow, red, green, white, and a red color would be great for their team. They wait to see Musashi's color. During the sword trial, Musashi's experience turns somber as he relives the tragic moment of Kojiro's father's persecution and death. Confused by the unexpected turn, he encounters a strange black ball emerging from a big eye, which transforms into a woman. Despite feeling a sense of familiarity, he can't hear her words, only feeling warmth from her embrace. However, the woman morphs into a huge man, crushing Musashi's arms, and declares she doesn't need him. As black glowing stones emerge from Musashi's body, Mitsuru sadly declares him forsaken. The stones vanish, and Musashi stops glowing, dropping the sword. Rushing to his side, Kojiro and Sugimi inquire about his well-being, and though he insists he's fine, he resolves to try another sword. Hoping the initial rejection was a mistake, despite attempting 6 more swords, none accept him. Musashi remains determined to keep trying, but Mitsuru reveals he can't use kaitsu blades because his soul is black, leading to rejection. Disheartened, Musashi questions if he can change through hard work, but Mitsuru delivers a devastating truth. He can't alter the color of his soul, and she advises him to give up on his dream of becoming a Bushi. Musashi sits, coming to terms with the realization that his dream of becoming a Bushi won't come true. Memories of fellow Bushi suggesting farming as an alternative life path flood his mind. As Kojiro and Sugimi approach to offer comfort, a horde of Oni appears, announcing the arrival of a Kishin at the summit. Despite his initial urge to fight, Musashi's fear cripples him as he remembers his inability to wield a kaitsu blade. In a moment of danger, Kojiro steps in, saving Musashi from an Oni's attack with his glowing sword. Empowered by his blade, Kojiro boldly confronts the Oni, effortlessly defeating them and rescuing villagers in the process. As Kojiro continues to triumph over the Oni, Musashi watches from the sidelines, witnessing the admiration and gratitude of the villagers. Although he's happy to see Kojiro's smile, a sense of melancholy envelops him as he realizes his fading dream of joining the Bushi band. forever resigned to the sidelines as an observer. All the Bushi are asked to head to the mountain summit to defeat the Kishin. Since Musashi can't go, he just bids Kojiro and Tsugumi good luck. Kojiro doesn't argue with him. Musashi is left alone. Upset he wasn't chosen by any sword. He wonders what he can do to get a kaitsu blade. Just then, Shiro appears. He tells Musashi he saw everything. Musashi asks if he came to mock him, but Shiro says no, showing he has black crystals like Musashi and asks him to join his team. Musashi is shocked that Shiro is similar to him. He quickly asks Shiro how to get stronger. Shiro says Musashi just has to accept the black crystals, only then will he become stronger. Musashi asks how strong. Shiro shows off his power by cutting the ground in a square, creating a huge hole. He throws a blade to Musashi and says Musashi should take the sword trial again, and he can become the ultimate kaitsu blade instead of just using one. Musashi says he wants to wield a kaitsu blade, not be one because he wants to fight alongside his friends. Shiro then threatens to use Musashi's friends as material for his sword instead and plans to confront them at the mountaintop. Musashi tries to stop him, but Shiro pushes him into the pit he just cut up, then throws him a kaitsu blade, hoping Musashi can use it well. The pit is really deep. Musashi tries to break his fall by grabbing onto the wall with his fingers, but couldn't. He notices the kaitsu blade and quickly grabs it, then sticks it into the wall, preventing from falling into the lava below. But since it's new, holding onto it makes the black crystals erupt from his body. He wants to let go but can't. Shiro's assistant, Nanao, observes from above. She says Musashi has two choices: let go and fall into the lava, or hold on and turn into a black stone. Either way, it all leads to Musashi's doom. Musashi's body starts feeling weak, but he smashes his head into the wall to stay awake. He figures he can use the black crystals as claws to climb, but when he tries to, he hears a female voice saying she can't let him and tells him to hide. His body is immediately covered with black crystals, and he falls into the lava lake, but protected by the crystals. In his subconscious, the goddess Musashi saw in his sword trial advises him to stay for his own safety, but Musashi refuses, citing his friend's need for him. The goddess, now colossal, grabs his hand, warning that returning would only burden his friends. She triggers a flashback to Musashi's lonely past, marked by the loss of his parents and mistreatment from relatives. Feeling invisible, Musashi prayed for recognition until a woman urged him to throw a stone at Kojiro's father to gain acceptance. Driven by desperation, he obeyed, instantly regretting his actions. The goddess explains that Musashi threw the rock to escape loneliness, revealing his desire to become a warrior stemmed from wanting companionship. Thus, she deems him unworthy of wielding a kaitsu blade. Musashi begins to petrify as the goddess reveals that she needed to trigger his memories to prevent his departure, as they are linked in body and soul. Leaving would mean her capture, leaving Musashi with no choice but to remain. Meanwhile, the Bushi arrives at the mountain, but Shiro appears and claims he killed the Kishin. Kojiro asks who he was. Shiro jumps down and calmly walks over to Kojiro, ignoring the Bushi questioning him. He is immediately surrounded by 5 Bushi, as they want to know what he did to the Kishin. Shiro draws his sword and slays the 5 warriors with a single slash, shocking everyone. He declares that he's there for their kaitsu blade, and they all have to die for him to get it. It becomes clear that he's a sword hunter who steals kaitsu blades by ending their owners. The Bushi all prepare to fight him, but Shiro, using his sword, strikes the earth, cutting it into pieces, which leaves many injured as the Bushi are defeated. Tsugumi asks Kojiro what they should do. Shiro turns to Kojiro. He reveals that Musashi has already become a material for forging a kaitsu blade, and Kojiro will soon join him. This terrifies Kojiro, who fears Musashi is dead. Musashi is still alive, trapped under the lava lake, covered with the black crystal, and can't move again. The goddess lady is doing all this so he won't die and away from the war above. But then a green crystal lasso descends into the lava, wraps around him, and pulls him up to the surface. Musashi regains consciousness as all the black crystals fall off him. Nanao reveals she made a mistake, intending to pull him out after he fully became a black stone to obtain the goddess in him. Musashi thanks Nanao for her unintended help and rushes to where his friends are, hoping to rescue them. He starts remembering the goddess's words that being a warrior was an excuse not to feel alone, but Musashi knows she's wrong. In a quick flashback, when Musashi was praised for throwing the rock, he regrets his actions and wishes he disappeared. But later that night, he goes to Kojiro's father's house to apologize, and Kojiro's father doesn't scold him. He just invites him in. Musashi apologizes and cries, but Kojiro's father consoles him, understanding why Musashi did it. Musashi still feels bad, but Kojiro's father tells Musashi he's grateful to him for being Kojiro's friend. He said Musashi had saved them both, and Musashi should continue living and never feel worthless. He offers Musashi to join their family, and Musashi moves in with Kojiro's father, who becomes his adoptive father. He teaches both Kojiro and Musashi the ways of the Bushi, and Musashi is always grateful for that. Meanwhile, Shiro is chasing after Kojiro, ending any Bushi in his way. Shiro finally catches Kojiro, picking him up by the chin, about to end Kojiro, but stops. Kojiro wonders why and sees Musashi has arrived. Shiro finds Musashi's state interesting. Musashi has fused halfway with the black stone, meaning the goddess hasn't cast a judgment on him, and she will cast a judgment on Musashi if they end him, and he's eager to know what the judgment will be. The trio prepares to fight Shiro, but Nanao steps forward, saying they are fighting her. The staff in her hand splits into 7 pieces, each forming a green blade, shocking the trio that that's her Kaitsu blade. She launches attacks with all 7 blades, and they narrowly dodge all because if they dodge one, another immediately flies their way. Shiro steps back, leaving Nanao to handle the trio. Musashi notices her fighting skill, but he's convinced he can take down Nanao. He launches at her while she throws 3 blades at him, but he blocks all the attacks. She throws a 4th blade at him. To counter, Musashi inserts his Kaitsu blade into a rock, using it as a scabbard, and launches himself forward, allowing him to fly over the 4th blade and get close to Nanao. She is shocked, but she's able to counterattack, sending Musashi flying backward. The trio comes up with a plan to defeat her. Nanao understands that they are trying to come at her all at once, but she's confident in her sword whip. However, she's confused as Tsugimi and Musashi run in the opposite direction, leaving Kojiro in the front lines to draw her attention. Nanao thinks it's so the other two can escape, so she ignores Kojiro and focuses on capturing Musashi, launching her swords at him, thinking she got him. But this was their plan. Musashi is able to block the attack because Tsugimi uses her whips to hold down the blades, allowing Musashi to cut a section of the staff, destroying one of the 7 blades. They become convinced they can take her down, but Shiro interrupts the fight, saying he will continue calling Nanao a weak alliance, and she should step back, which she does. Shiro says the goddess isn't making her move, so he will end it quickly. Shiro forms a large black ring with his sword, which appears when the user channels all their powers into the blade. Tsugimi panics, saying they are in trouble as Shiro hasn't used this move yet, and now they are going to see how strong he really is. Shiro swings his sword, creating a gust of wind at them. Tsugimi is confused that nothing is happening, but Musashi feels like something is coming. Kojiro warns them to be alert. Suddenly, the area is covered by a purple wall of light. Everyone stays wary of the wall, but Shiro says this technique is different. Suddenly, the section of the mountain they are on starts breaking off and then flips upside down, causing them to fall. Musashi, his friends, and the other Bushi cling desperately to their swords, but Shiro's bangs the cube which causes them all to lose their grip and fall. As they plummet, time suddenly stops. The goddess appears, revealing that she's behind the frozen moment. She explains that Shiro is her enemy and aims to steal her powers by ending Musashi. She extracts his soul, intending to save only him with her remaining power. But Musashi declines, insisting on facing whatever comes with his friends by his side. He explains that their presence gives him strength and purpose. Impressed by his selflessness, the goddess recognizes his worthiness. She shares her remaining power with him and then temporarily takes control of his body to demonstrate its use. Time resumes and black crystals appear. All the blades start glowing, and their sword energy is being pulled into the black crystal, pulling them up. Even Shiro and Nanao's sword energy are being pulled. It's revealed that there is a supernatural power in all Kaitsu blades known as blade energy, and there's only one black stone that exists that can call upon the power of all Kaitsu blades, possessed by only one, the Obsidian Goddess. The lady inside Musashi all this while is the Obsidian Goddess. She summons Shiro's blade and calls him unworthy of such a fine sword, breaking the sword circle. She undoes its power and restores the mountain chunk to its original location, saving everyone. Kojiro is shocked by Musashi's appearance, which has changed to reflect the goddess. She turns to face Shiro. Kojiro and Nanao are shocked that Musashi's blade has a black sword circle. The goddess tells Kojiro to watch how her power works. Nanao steps forward to attack her, but the goddess easily deflects her blade energy, shocking everyone. Nanao continues to attack, but all her strikes get deflected by the obsidian goddess. She explains to Kojiro that those with black crystals can control blade energy, drawing it towards themselves or repelling it, and this power is something that can't be easily controlled by anyone, so those who possess it were termed Forsaken. Kojiro realizes that Musashi will be unstoppable with such powers. The goddess informs Kojiro that sadly, the power in Musashi is fading. Shiro calls back his sword. She reveals that her existence is a fragile one, and she was resting inside Musashi. Revealing her power in the physical world caused it to fade quickly, and she'll soon return to sleep. Musashi will lose the obsidian power, but the enemy will still target him, so he'll need his friend's help for protection, asking if Kojiro will help. Kojiro gladly accepts the responsibility to fight alongside and protect Musashi, as he won't let any harm come to Musashi. The goddess thanks Kojiro, poking his forehead, then focuses on facing Shiro. Shiro is so excited seeing her true form. He invites her to join him, saying he can make her happy. She refuses, saying she will chase Shiro off before she returns to her slumber. So she will be needing the Bushi's powers, using the last of her powers to activate the sword energy from all the Bushi present. She says alone, a Bushi can't do anything. But when they put their power together, they are stronger. The blade energy bands together in the air. In Musashi's mind, the goddess whispers that she's going back to sleep inside him. She tells him he's gotta stay alive because he's her vessel now. She's worried cause Kojiro's dad, her old vessel, got taken out before they finished what they needed to do. Musashi wants to ask more questions, but she says there's no time. She wants him to see her last battle in person. Using the last of her strength, she promises to take out Shiro, saying he'll never get his hands on her. But then, Shiro tries to attack, and the goddess's power blocks him and sends him flying, wrecking the mountains. Everyone's okay, though, and Musashi still feels the goddess's power in him. His friends come over, happy they won, but Musashi's thinking about what the goddess said about Kojiro's dad. Sugumi asks about Musashi's sword, and Musashi sees it's broken, which surprises him. Mitsuru explains it's cause too much power went into it. Everybody thanks Musashi for saving them and offers to help him out however they can. Musashi asks Tsugumi to set up another sword test for him. She agrees, and Musashi takes the test in front of a big crowd, picking the same sword. People worry it might not go well again, but Musashi's sure it'll be okay this time. He grabs the sword, and it glows red, showing he passed the test. Everyone rushes over to cheer, even pushing Kojiro aside. Tsugumi explains that Musashi's got rare and powerful red blade energy. Kojiro's kinda bummed everyone's paying attention to Musashi, but Musashi pulls him aside to talk about what happened during the trial. Kojiro says it all happened too fast for him to see anything. Then Musashi drops a bomb, saying he saw their dad during the trial, hinting that the obsidian goddess might know Kojiro's dad, which totally shocks Kojiro. Later that evening, Musashi and Tsugumi wait for Kojiro, who comes back with food and supplies for their next adventure. He shows them a map with new places they've never explored, and they're all super excited to check them out. As they set off on their next adventure, Musashi, Tsugumi, and Kojiro find themselves wading through a swamp. Suddenly, they're ambushed by a fierce plant oni. Musashi spots the oni grabbing both Tsugumi and Kojiro, but he doesn't hesitate, confident in his kaitsu sword. Swinging his sword, he aims at the oni's horn, using his blade energy. Boom! The oni explodes, and Musashi rushes to check on his friends, who are thankfully okay. Then, he notices someone else caught by the oni. With quick reflexes, he tears open the cocoon and finds a girl inside. She's alive, but when she points out a cut on his face, Musashi just brushes it off, saying he got it while saving her. The girl smiles gratefully, and Kojiro can't help but comment on her beauty. Tsugumi's amazed that both Musashi and Kojiro are smitten with her. Musashi is just relieved that he still finds girls his age cute. Suddenly, an old man rushes over, shouting, "Princess!" They're all puzzled until he reaches the girl they saved and reveals she a princess. She explains she was attacked by the oni, but Musashi came to her rescue. Mikiru asks for their names, but Tsugumi insists on knowing hers first. The old man introduces her as Princess Mikiru. They're on their way to the port of Harima for a crucial battle that'll decide their nation's fate. Deciding to accompany Mikeru on her journey, they learn from the old man that they're heading to Harima for a gathering called by Lord Usagi. Musashi tries to chat with Mikeru, but she's quiet. Kojiro asks about the Usagi alliance, and Tsugumi explains it's a group of friendly bushi bands. Musashi gets frustrated, scolding his friends for conging the topic whenever he tries to talk to Mikeru, which surprises her that he remembered her name. As they enter a trail, the carriage hits a bump, and Mikeru is thrown off a cliff. Without thinking, Musashi leaps after her. As they fall, he realizes they're in trouble, but Mikeru reveals her blade, which shoots out blue crystals. Using them as a parachute, they slow their fall. Musashi admires her sword, and she explains it reminds her of her father, who always praised her swordsmanship. Embarrassed, she admits she's a recluse and finds it hard to join conversations with strangers. Musashi just laughs, glad she's not mad and relieved to learn more about her. Mikeru suggests to Musashi that he should head south with her, but he explains he is headed east with his friends. She warns him they won't get far and points to the east, where there's a towering dark wall that seems to stretch into the sky. Musashi's jaw drops when he realizes it's a Kishin. Even more shocking, he sees it moving, crushing towns and land as it moves. Curious, Musashi asks what kind of Kishin it is. Mikeru explains it's the first Kishin to appear in Hinamoto over 150 years ago. Legend has it that this lone Oni wreaked havoc, splitting Hinamoto into two sides, those who fought against it and those who worshipped it as gods. The latter built mining areas to feed ores to the Oni, causing it to grow bigger and become the Black Kishin that now covers half the nation. Musashi and his friends are stunned by this revelation. The Chamberlain adds that defeating the Black Kishin has been the unrealized ambition of all Bushi for the past 150 years. If it's not stopped, it'll eventually swallow the whole of Hinamoto. Musashi is determined to defeat it quickly, but Tsugumi wonders how they can defeat something that no one has been able to in the last 150 years. The Chamberlain boasts that Lord Usagi, leader of their alliance, is set to slay the Kishin. He's among the nation's strongest Bushi, known as the Five Great Generals. He explains that defeating the Kishin on Awaji Island will be crucial to taking down the Black Kishin and invites Musashi and his friends to join them if they're interested. Mikeru and her Chamberlain depart, hoping to see them there. Musashi and his pals are left pondering what they've just heard. Tsugumi wonders if her sister knew about the Kishin, while Musashi asks Kojiro if their dad had any clue. Kojiro doubts it, saying it wasn't mentioned in the scroll he left behind. To confirm, Kojiro double-checks his father's scroll. Tsugumi chimes in, saying all Bushi bands have similar scrolls that record the Kishin's names and traits. This makes Musashi wonder why their father had it. Tsugumi suggests their dad might have been part of a band, surprising Musashi and Kojiro, who thought their dad had no outside connections. Tsugumi points out the Usagi band's seal on the scroll, hinting at their father's possible involvement. So, they decide to change their plans and head to Port Harima. Tsugumi mentions they'll see the ocean, but Kojiro and Musashi aren't too thrilled. Musashi admits he wonders what the ocean is really like, asking Kojiro what he thinks. Kojiro worries if it's selfish to change direction, seeking answers about their father's past. Tsugumi and Musashi assure him it's okay, saying they're fully supportive of the idea. Finally, they reach the ocean and are filled with excitement. As they take in the breathtaking view, Tsugumi spots a fortress across the way with the Usagi emblem. Excited, they decide to check it out. However, their hopes are dashed when they're denied entry and told the Lord is too busy preparing for battle to meet with Bushi like them. Looking around, they notice the large number of alliance members nearby. When asked which band they belong to, Musashi proudly declares the Kenmaki band, while Kojiro adds they're not part of the Usagi alliance. This earns them hostile stares from the other Bushis, and Nea, the boy in charge, decides to apprehend them to find out who they are. Tsugumi and Kojiro are cornered, and Musashi tries to make a run for it, but is stopped by a random Bushi who knocks him down with a kick, calling him weak. A kaitsu mount resembling a helicopter descends, bearing the Usagi crest, and everyone bows except Musashi and Kojiro, who are unaware of the significance. Naotora emerges from the mount, surprising Musashi. Naotora pretends not to recognize him at first, teasing him before admitting he remembers. Musashi, irritated, calls him a jerk, which Naotora finds amusing, highlighting their unique rapport. Naotora's esteemed status as the leader of the Taikda band, one of the 5 great generals, impresses Musashi and Kojiro, while others wonder about Musashi's informal demeanor to Naotora. Nea orders Musashi and his friends to be locked up, but Naotora saves Musashi and his friends, claiming they worked for him. He promises to handle any issues caused by them. One of Naotora's men silenced Musashi as he wanted to deny it. Naotora is escorted to meet Lord Yusugi. Musashi tries to insist on seeing Lord Yusugi too, but Naotora declines. Two Take-Two band members lead Musashi and his friends to their lodging. Sugumi wonders who they are, and Musashi explains they once helped save their hometown. Yamamoto, one of the guides, examines the scroll they brought to show Yusugi. Sanada grumbles about not guarding Naotora and having to watch over Musashi instead. Sugumi expects Musashi to retaliate, but he stays calm and thanks Sanada. Musashi whispers to Kojiro about their strategy to get close to Lord Yusugi through the Take-Two band, which Kojiro appreciates. However, Yamamoto explains that they won't get to see Lord Yusugi because the Bushi don't trust outsiders, especially the Yusugi. Musashi wants to ask about Kojiro's dad, but Yamamoto dismisses it, saying the Yusugi only trust their own family. Sugumi understands, recalling her clan's focus on family honor. Kojiro feels sad about not knowing his family, but Musashi assures him they'll uncover his dad's past. Still, Sanada warns against sneaking in, saying they might get roped into the Kishin fight. Musashi's like, "No worries, we got this," but Sanada shows them the difference between the Kishin they fought before. And then Orochi, the Kishin on Awaji Island, which is 10 times bigger. Kojiro and Musashi freak out when they hear how strong Orochi is, one of the big bad blights, offspring of the Black Kishin. Yamamoto explains they gotta take down Orochi to beat the Black Kishin, cause it feeds off its kids to get stronger. That's why they're after Orochi, a job that hasn't been done in 150 years cause it's super dangerous. She warns them to stay far away from it. Despite Kojiro's warnings to stay safe, Musashi remains stubborn, determined to find Lord Yusugi. Sugumi, using her lasso, throws him into the Yusugi fortress. Amazed by its size, Musashi encounters a man sitting on the roof. They talk about the impressive castle and Bushi, with the man revealing he always reminds himself of his family waiting for him before battle. Musashi asks if he's a Bushi, and the man cryptically responds, technically, questioning Musashi's age and expressing his desire to protect young Bushi like him from harm, especially in the upcoming battle. He then dons his cloak, leaving Musashi wondering about his true identity. Nea arrives, addressing the man as Lord, revealing him to be Lord Yusugi. Musashi is about to speak when Nea interrupts, revealing Musashi as an outsider. Musashi tries to explain, but Lord Yusugi's demeanor changes, and Nea declares trespassing as grounds for execution. Musashi panics, but Lord Yusugi shows leniency due to Naotora's association, ordering Musashi to be taken to the barracks as punishment. Drafted into service, Musashi's friends worry about their fate. Kojiro fears dying without knowing about his family, but Musashi reassures them, insisting they'll find clues about his father inside the castle. Sugumi worries they might become Kishin fodder, but Musashi promises they'll come up with a plan together. However, their plan is disrupted as they're handed robes to wear and separated. Musashi mentally prepares himself as he enters his assigned room, determined not to be looked down upon. He smiles, utilizing his special ability to read the room and determine its hierarchy, a skill honed from his harsh upbringing. Observing the room's factions and their interactions, he realizes this is their first true interaction and his chance to assert himself, shaping his future standing among them. As tensions escalate among the Bushi, one boldly suggests that the strongest among them should take command. Some others, in agreement, recommend the Bushi who had previously kicked Musashi down. Introducing himself as Katsumi, son of the head of the Amako band, the recommended Bushi introduce himself as a Kihiro of the Shimazu band. Katsumi mocks Akihiro's lineage, insinuating he may not be the first son and was sent to battle due to possible illegitimacy. The Shimazu band laughs and brands the Amako clan as weak. Akihiro retaliates, questioning Katsumi's intentions might be to restore glory to his washed-up clan through battle, further escalating the argument. Musashi watches until Mikiru taps him on the shoulder, revealing herself and expressing concern for his safety in the upcoming battle. It soon became a quarrel for who gets to be the leader, summoning his confidence. Musashi decides to join in the running. They devise a game where combatants use the blunt side of their swords to fight, thus avoid violating Bushi code. The rule is last man standing, or whoever is kicked out of the line loses. The duel begins. Katsumi targets him first, but Musashi impressively blocks all attacks, surprising him. Akihiro then attacks, but Musashi adeptly deflects it, shocking Akihiro. Both adversaries had underestimated Musashi's skill. Katsumi swings his sword 3 times, but Musashi manages to block each strike. Musashi feels a rush of happiness as he finally puts his sword techniques into action. When their swords clash, Katsumi marvels at how Musashi can keep up. Musashi simply replies that he just can. He's thrilled to finally gauge his skill in combat. Leaping into the air, Musashi aims a strike at Katsumi, who blocks it, drawing the attention of onlookers. 2 girls cheer for Musashi, while the Amako band wonders about him since the Kanmaki band is unknown. Meanwhile, the Shimazu band is furious, ordering Akihiro to eliminate Katsumi and Musashi. Akihiro attempts to kick Musashi from behind, but Musashi dodges and Katsumi narrowly avoids being hit. The Shimazu band insists that Akihiro draw his blade, concealed in his shoes. Using the blade in his shoe, Akihiro kicks Musashi, sending him crashing into the wall. Musashi is shocked to discover Akihiro's unusual tactic. Confused, Musashi watches as Akihiro spins through the air, making it difficult to predict his attacks. Akihiro's swift movements resemble those of a beast. Though Musashi manages to block some of Akihiro's strikes, Akihiro eventually overwhelms him, slamming him to the ground repeatedly. Musashi realizes Akihiro's immense strength as he defeats both him and Katsumi. Despite Musashi's desire to fight on, Akihiro declares the match finished, claiming Musashi has crossed a line. Musashi, respecting Akihiro's decision, extends his hand to him, acknowledging him as their unit commander. He helps Katsumi to his feet, declaring them comrades and quietly reveling in the bushy ways he's learned. Though finding Akihiro distasteful, Musashi still offers his hand in friendship. Akihiro accepts the handshake, but cynically suggests that Musashi's actions stem from self-interest, aiming to gain favor for a good position in the unit. Musashi vehemently denies this accusation, but Akihiro's words leave him in disbelief. In a surprising turn, Akihiro publicly denounces both Musashi and Katsumi, accusing them of selfishness and unworthiness of leadership. Shocked into silence, Musashi and Katsumi can do nothing but listen. Akihiro gathers the group and announces they're heading to Awaji Island the next day, and the alliance leaders have given him full command of the squad, and anyone that disobeys him will be punted. Musashi notices the tension in the room and raises his hand, suggesting there might be a better way to do things since everyone seems scared to speak up. Akihiro dismisses the idea, stating they just need to follow orders. Musashi disagrees, saying he believes in open communication among fellow Bushi. Akihiro is disgusted and ends the meeting. Musashi tries to talk to him, but his comrades advise against it, reminding him that Bushi follow orders without question. Feeling dejected, Musashi rushes to find his friends, only to discover they're enjoying their new unit. Kojiro shares how he initially wanted to leave after learning about his father, but now feels staying is the right choice. Tsugumi feels like they're forgetting something or someone, but they brush it off. Musashi, overhearing this, feels heartbroken that his friends seem to have forgotten about him. The next day, as the ship sails to Awaji Island, everything starts off calm. However, soon lesser Anis emerge from the ocean, surrounding their ships. They're ordered to assume combat formations. Musashi tries to use his usual tactic of aiming for the horn, but to his surprise, the blade energy is deflected instead of shattering the horn. He's left shocked and confused by this unexpected turn of events. It turns out that the horns of these Oni are super tough compared to others. One Oni attacks a ship, causing chaos as people flee. Musashi climbs onto the Oni and tries to break its horn with his sword, but it's too sturdy. He's so focused on this that he doesn't notice another Oni sneaking up behind him. Just when he thinks he's done for, a red light slices through the horn of the Oni he's on, then cuts the horn of the other Oni. It's Nea, one of Yusuga's 3 dragons, their best fighters. He and 2 others absorb the Oni's powers, but more Anis keep appearing in the ocean, rocking the ships. People start to fear, but Nope tells them not to be afraid, promising they'll defeat all the Oni soon. Musashi tries to reassure them too, but they don't listen. Nea uses his blade energy to chain the Anis together, then breaks their horns one by one, slaying all the Oni. The Bushi gain confidence, believing they can win with Nea leading them. Musashi is stunned by Nea's strength, which inspires everyone to raise their swords together. Nea tells them that breaking the Oni's horns alone is tough, but those who still want to fight should step forward. Akihiro steps up and breaks a horn. Musashi wonders how he did it, and another Bushi explains that Akihiro is using the band's energy, not just his own. Musashi recalls the goddess doing something similar, gathering everyone's energy to form a powerful force. This ability, unique to humans, lets them join forces to become stronger and defeat their enemies. Akihiro breaks another horn, and Katsumi joins in, channeling his band's energy too. Musashi realizes that they're not following Akihiro out of fear, but because they're working together to achieve their goal. He feels like he's been messing up on his own while they've been succeeding together. Naotora and Yusugi chat casually. Having known each other since childhood, Yusugi reveals they found the Obsidian Goddess, surprising Naotora. He explains that if they harness its power, they can change the course of their battle, but their enemies, knowing about it too, might try to sabotage them. Yusugi fears the enemy might have spies within their alliance and assigns Kuroko to find and eliminate them. Naotora decides to leave the city to call for reinforcements. Musashi feels embarrassed as the group mocks his lack of coordination in kaitsu sword combat. He realizes he's the only one not useful in battle and feels ashamed to ask to join next time. Akihiro labels him an inferior soldier, and the group agrees to ignore him. Some suggest he leave. Musashi mopes, realizing maybe they're right. That night, Musashi prepares to leave when Katsumi finds him. Katsumi advises him to stay, noting Musashi's support for them. Despite feeling embarrassed about his lack of skill, Musashi is motivated by Katsumi's words. He thanks Katsumi, then asks why he wants to lead the squad. Katsumi shares that Awaji Island was his hometown until the Oni invaded, inspiring him to reclaim it. Musashi wonders about his own reasons for fighting, realizing he hasn't been useful and feeling lame. During the morning attendance and unit check, Akihiro's squad is one person short as Musashi is absent. However, Musashi surprises everyone by showing up, reporting for duty. The girls and Mikeru are happy to see him. Though he's still unsure of his reason for fighting, if it's for Kojiro and Tsugumi, he's willing to endure the embarrassment and continue training, thanking Katsumi for his advice. As Musashi begins training on how to channel a kaitsu blade, Katsumi becomes stern and bossy, yelling at him for holding the sword incorrectly. Musashi is taken aback, as this isn't the gentle Katsumi he knows. Meanwhile, Mikeru, watching them with her veil, secretly transmits information as a spy. On Awaji Island, one member of Black Dogs, Yatero, discusses their plans. Orachi, the Kishin, will deplete all the mineral ore on the island in 5 days. Before then, he aims to acquire the Obsidian Goddess. They display Musashi's image, questioning why the goddess chose such a seemingly weak host. His transmission is interrupted by Mikeru, who is actually Yatero's daughter. He commends her for her helpful information on the Yusugi Alliance and reminds her of her true mission, to find and kill the host of the Obsidian Goddess. Mikeru agrees, hiding her conflicting emotions. Mikeru reminisces about her father's desire for a capable weapon, and how he named her his 3,000th daughter after she manifested a kaitsu sword. She feels obligated to follow her father's mission to maintain her value, but struggles with her growing feelings for Musashi. Musashi's training continues, and Katsumi suggests he try practicing sword energy on someone else. He calls out to Mikeru to train with him, feeling he can connect with her. She's happy he's asking for her help. Katsumi and his subordinates doubt it will work, but to their surprise, Mikeru manages to throw her sword energy at Musashi, who catches it. Both Musashi and Mikeru smile, but suddenly, black crystals emerge from their bodies, and their energies merge into a single black crystal, which starts flying over the fortress, frightening the people below. Inside the crystal, Mikeru informs Musashi that her father knows about their situation, and they need to escape. Outside, the Bushi struggle to contain the powerful crystal. Kuroko steps in, using her sword energy to create a cage around the crystal, then shrinking it to minimize movement. The Bushi praise her skill, acknowledging her as the master of captivity in the Yusugi band. As the cage disappears, Mikeru and Musashi are revealed. The Bushi surround them, and Lord Yusugi and Kuroko approach. Kuroko reveals Mikeru as a suspect in the spy incident involving Black Dogs and suggests interrogating them both. Realizing they may discover Musashi as the host, Mikeru needs to act quickly. Whispering to Lord Yusugi, Kuroko orders Mikeru's detainment, causing Musashi to protest. However, Yusugi commands Musashi's arrest, accusing him of being the spy. This terrifies Mikeru and shocks Musashi. Stripped and tied to a cross in the center of the area, Musashi proclaims his innocence, but his pleas are met with silence. Kojiro and Tsugumi shout in defense of their friend, promising to free him. Meanwhile, Mikeru watches from a distance, vowing to save Musashi soon using the power of the Black Crystal. She unleashes the crystal, intending to rescue Musashi, but unknowingly falls into Kuroko's trap. The crystal's reaction reveals the exact location of Yatero on Awaji Island. Lord Usagi announces their plan to storm the island, defeat the Kishin, and seize Yatero's head. As the alliance gathers for the assault on the island, Lord Usagi delivers a speech outlining their mission to defeat the Black Kishin. He explains Orochi's formidable defense wall and the need to chop off its 8 horns to secure victory. Whoever claims a horn will be rewarded with a city by the Usagi family. However, Nea assigns them to standby duties until Musashi and Mikeru are cleared, sparking anger among the band. Akihiro walks away, intending to resolve the matter. Meanwhile, Mikeru rescues Musashi by incapacitating his guard. Musashi is relieved to see her, but becomes wary when she aims her sword at him, only to use it to free him. Grateful for her help, Musashi thanks her and dons his robe. Curious about the black crystal incident, he begins to question her, but their conversation is interrupted by Akihiro's entrance. Musashi greets Akihiro with a smile, hoping for help, but is taken aback when Akihiro points his sword at him. Akihiro declares his intention to make Musashi's report his origins and prove he's not affiliated with the Shimazu clan. Musashi questions Akihiro's loyalty to their cause. Akihiro asserts that Musashi is not an ally but a hindrance to their goals, revealing his true ambition to gain authority when he slays Orochi. Perplexed by Akihiro's sudden shift in behavior, Musashi confronts him, noticing his subdued demeanor compared to previous encounters. Akihiro has been preoccupied, contemplating his father's plan to replace him and his siblings with the son of a new concubine as the heir. They suspect their father wants them eliminated in the Awaji Island battle, but believe they can prove themselves by defeating one of Orochi's horns. As Musashi wonders about Akihiro's silence, Oni creatures unexpectedly attack, addressing Mikeru as their sister and claiming to assist her. Musashi is puzzled by the Oni's ability to speak. The Oni siblings reveal Mikeru's involvement in a mission to retrieve the Obsidian Goddess. Musashi tries to understand, but Mikeru remains silent, prompting him to question her. Before she can respond, the Oni expose her secret, accusing her of planning to kill Musashi to retrieve the goddess. Musashi defends Mikeru, refusing to believe the accusations. But with tears streaming down her face, Mikeru admits the truth, breaking Musashi's heart. As Mikeru continues to cry, the Oni are perplexed, suggesting she's in love. Musashi remains in disbelief until black crystals emerge from Mikeru's body, revealing a hologram of their father, Yatero. Her father praises her, but she knows hurting Musashi just to gain his approval is wrong. He tells her to finish the mission and then disappears, leaving her siblings to pressure her to obey or else she won't be allowed back into the family. Musashi remembers when he was pressured by his own family to throw the rock. One of Mikeru's siblings tries to attack Musashi using Mikeru, but he defends himself and frees Mikeru. He takes her hand and runs with her, understanding her desire to be valued by their family, which makes Mikeru realize why she loves Musashi. The siblings command the Oni to attack, believing Mikeru betrayed them. As an Oni lunges toward Musashi, Mikeru jumps in front, using her black crystals to shield him. The Oni bites down hard on her, causing her pain, while her siblings join in to attack her. Musashi desperately pleads for them to stop until other Bushi, including Nea and Kuroko, arrive to fight the Oni. Nea expresses shock that the Oni can speak and notices their severed parts beginning to regenerate. Kuroko and Nea are surprised to hear the Honest talking about the Obsidian Goddess being present. Musashi tries to wake Mikeru, but she's unresponsive. Despite learning she's a spy, Musashi refuses to let her die. Kuroko approaches with her sword, but instead of attacking, she aims her blade energy at Mikeru, pinning her down to stop her bleeding. She reassures Musashi that she didn't kill Mikeru and that the energy will help her recover. Grateful, Musashi asks why she helped, but Kuroko doesn't finish answer and just smiles at him, suggesting they become friends, which Musashi finds unsettling. Nea and the others defeat the Oni, leaving only the 3 siblings. 2 of them move to devour their older sister to become stronger. This shocks Musashi and the Bushis. The siblings claim it's for them to become stronger. Yatero appears in a hologram again, saying that incapable children become food for the capable ones, which is their family's way of propagation. Musashi wonders what kind of messed up family they are. The 2 siblings merge into one huge Oni. When Nea attacks them, his attack is deflected by a shield they put up, something Orochi can do. The Oni reveal that their father made their bodies awesome by incorporating Orochi blood in them. More Oni start appearing and flying to town to devour the people. The Bushis quickly leave to protect the town, and Musashi worries about everyone, including Kojiro and Tsugumi. The Oni already trashed part of the town and are going after the people. Nea asks the men to follow him to fend them off and defend the castle. Musashi wants to go, but Kuroko, carrying Mikaru, tells him to stay back as she needs to protect both of them. Musashi asks why, and Kuroko says the details can wait. He should just observe how the Usagi clan fights. The sibling Oni effortlessly deflect the Bushi's attacks and taunt them for their weakness. Their father reappears, urging them to conquer the fortress and retrieve the obsidian goddess. The siblings eat the other Oni, growing even larger. The father orders Mikiru's elimination as well, branding her a traitor and defective. Musashi is angered by this, reflecting on Mikiru's desire for his approval. When the father justifies his actions as natural selection, Musashi condemns him as a monster. The father argues that cannibalism is nature's way of ensuring only the strongest survive, suggesting Musashi can relate to the struggle for acceptance. He goes on to compare this to the Bushi, claiming they concentrate power in one individual at the expense of others, monopolizing strength. Musashi disputes this, but Kuroko insists it's true, citing Lord Usagi's ability to collect all their blade energy but also shares it among his comrades. Usagi demonstrates this by empowering his allies' physical traits using his yellow Kaitsu blade's unique properties. As Usagi shares his power, Musashi grapples with confusion until Kuroko explains how the yellow Kaitsu blade users can manipulate energy properties to other people. Usagi tells Yatero that unlike him, when he accumulates power, he shares it with his comrades, emphasizing the value of unity and support. Kuroko explains that Lord Usagi's powers promote encouragement, sharing, and support among his comrades. Encouraged by Usagi's words, the empowered men fearlessly face the enemy, attacking the sibling Oni with remarkable speed and coordination. Nea reprimands the siblings for their complaints, and when the brother tries to bite him, Nea defends himself. The sister decides to target Usagi, but she's swiftly restrained by a yellow lasso. Musashi marvels at the physical enhancement of the Usagi band, but Kuroko clarifies that it's not just the enhancement, but also their ability to link blade energy. She explains that this requires trust and coordination, with the Usagi forming longer chains due to their strong family bonds and Lord Usagi's leadership. The men form a dragon with their linked energy and, led by Nea, successfully defeat the sibling Oni. However, Kuroko and Lord Usagi are puzzled about how the enemy breached their protective barrier. Shiro appears, admitting he allowed them in and intends to take Usagi's sword. In his attempt to flee, Kuroko and the Bushi immobilize Shiro using their energy circuit. Nea is about to attack Shiro, but their connection begins to weaken. The sudden appearance of Seroku, a yellow energy user and Shiro's comrade, signals trouble. Seroku announces their intention to eradicate the Usagi band, severing their connections and leaving them vulnerable. Nea realizes the severity of the situation as their attempts to reconnect fail, thanks to Seroku nullifying power, leaving them defenseless against their formidable foes. Seroku states that they're now trapped and can't rely on their usual strength of banding together. He asks Shiro to finish them, but Shiro refuses, instead expressing his excitement at seeing Musashi again and noticing Mikeru, whom he claims also feels like the obsidian goddess. He tells them they'll chat later and focuses on the surrounding Bushi. Musashi worries about Shiro's powers and fears for his friends and comrades. However, instead of attacking, Shiro creates a square beneath Musashi and Mikeru, teleporting them away. To their horror, they find themselves swapped with a part of Awaji Island, with Orochi's head emerging from another square in the sky. In this strange space, Musashi encounters Yatero, who reveals they're in a deep part of Awaji Island. Recognizing the voice as Mikeru's father, Musashi refuses to hand her over. Yatero draws his sword, intending to end Musashi and retrieve the obsidian goddess. Yatero mentions that the last vessel never informed Musashi of anything. Musashi asks if he knows Kojiro's father, but Black doesn't know Kojiro's father. As Yatero prepares to strike, Mikeru awakens and holds onto Musashi. Yatero commands her to hold him still, but Mikeru pleads for Musashi's life, admitting her conflicting feelings. She realizes she can't bring herself to harm Musashi, as the thought of losing him is unbearable. Despite lacking happy memories with him, Mikeru still wants to help Musashi and make him happy without resorting to violence. Musashi realizes that Yatero, despite being bad, is still important to Mikeru as her father. Yatero sheathes his sword, surprising Mikeru, and asks about her plan. She expresses her determination to extract the obsidian goddess without harming Musashi, earning praise from Yatero for her research passion. They hug, but Musashi finds Yatero's expression suspicious. Indeed, Yatero attempts to harm Mikeru, but Musashi intervenes just in time, kicking Yatero away. Yatero bids Mikeru farewell, and she immediately turns to stone and falls to the ground. Meanwhile, Orochi continues to wreak havoc on Usagi Fortress. Nea orders the evacuation of the people and tries to hold back Seroku, who uses his powers to harm Nea and remove his title as the Dragon Fighter. Shiro grows impatient, stating that the retrieval of the Obsidian Goddess should have been completed already. Musashi confronts Yatero, demanding to know what he did to Mikeru. Yatero explains that he merely silenced her, and the stone form is her true nature. He reveals Mikeru is an Oni created with part of Orochi. She was meant to be created as a superior offspring, but deemed a failure due to her lack of outstanding powers. Musashi, recalling his own experiences of being called Usells by his family, defends Mikeru, saying she's kind, hardworking, and pleads with Yatero not to abandon her. Yatero admits Mikeru is special and brings her back to life. Mikeru is restored, but with her memories erased. She asks who Musashi is and who she is herself. Yatero explains that she is Mikeru. Musashi is concerned and asks what Yatero did. Yatero admits to wiping her memories, stating that emotions and feelings were obstacles to her loyalty. Mikeru runs to Yatero's side, snuggling into him, happy to be with her father. Musashi, consumed by anger, clashes swords with Yatero, but Yatero gains the upper hand, sending Musashi flying. Musashi realizes he can't use sword energy unless it's his own sword. Yatero creates a blade ring and aims the energy at Musashi, while Mikeru continues to cheer for her father. This infuriates Musashi, who refuses to accept it and tries to attack Yatero again, but he's easily repelled. Musashi grows weaker, and Yatero is about to stab him when Mikeru pierces him from behind with her crystals. She briefly remembers Musashi's name before forgetting again. Yatero hits her away, warning her against disobedience and threatening to erase her emotions once more, to which she tearfully agrees. As Musashi is teleported away because Shiro's technique begins to run out of time, he calls to Mikeru, who is in tears. The Taikta band breaks through the barrier into the fortress to save the people. Nea leads Musashi and his friends to a basement below Usagi Castle. Nea reveals they need the power of the Obsidian Goddess within Musashi to defeat the Kishin. Kojiro suggests turning back, not wanting to risk their lives, but Nea assures them they aren't obligated to fight. He acknowledges the wrapped item Tsugumi has been carrying as Musashi's blade and gives it to him. Musashi learns they plan to use it to save him from execution and escape together. Nea acknowledges Musashi's great friends, but emphasizes the need to save their own friends, which requires confronting Orochi and the enemy Bushi. Musashi agrees, assuring Kojiro it's not just for his sake anymore. With everyone on board, they proceed and reach a door that opens up to the Usagi Band Mausoleum, where the secret of the Obsidian Goddess lies. Musashi and Kojiro are finally on the brink of uncovering all the hidden secrets. According to ancient scrolls, in a time when humanity struggled against Oni, a mysterious woman bestowed the first Kaitsu blade upon the world. She possessed mastery over all blade energy channeled from swords, earning her the title of the Obsidian Goddess. Even after her passing, her soul inhabited individuals, with her power dormant within them. Nea explains that Musashi could potentially harness this power to unite all Bushi in Hinamoto. However, Musashi recalls that the goddess had indicated he wouldn't be able to wield her power. Undeterred, Nea presents a box containing a treasure believed to unlock the goddess's power. Kojiro questions Nea's willingness to give away such a valuable treasure for free. Nea asserts that they must use it to defeat Orochi and rescue their captured lord. Unable to link their sword energy due to Seroku's power, they must take proactive action. Despite feeling ashamed to request such power for personal reasons, Nea emphasizes the importance of saving their friends and lord. Kojiro and Tsugumi express their understanding, reassuring Nea that there's no shame in protecting their families. Musashi inquires if he can truly defeat the enemy with the treasure. Nea reveals that the enigmatic figures they call Black Dogs are also known as the Obsidian Eight. These warriors wield Kaitsu blades and serve the Oni, terrorizing the land for centuries by slaying other Bushi. Musashi resolves to confront and defeat Black Dogs, accepting the treasure. Nea presents him with a goblet filled with the goddess's blood, explaining that consuming it will transform Musashi's body. Musashi hesitates, finding the idea repulsive, but Nea insists, forcibly making him drink it. Musashi begins convulsing, but then abruptly stops, claiming to feel fine. Disappointed by the lack of result, they depart, with Nea apologizing for raising their hopes. However, Musashi senses something stirring just before they leave. As they finally confront the enemy on Awaji Island, they defeat Orochi, leaving behind a sword. Rushing down the mountain, Musashi hopes to find Mikeru. However, they are shocked to discover the entire interior of a mountain hollowed out. Descending further, they see a black sword floating in the middle, and an entity emerges beside it, seizing the sword. The head of Mikeru's father appears in the sky, introducing himself as Yatero. He declares that he has merged with Orochi, containing its power within himself. The entity beside the black sword is revealed to be Yatero's new body, with the sword being Mikeru herself. Yatero explains that he used a forbidden art to transform Mikeru into a kaitsu sword, creating the obsidian goddess broadsword. The sword glows with an eye appearing on it, and Yatero laughs sinisterly. Though they are hesitant to believe it, Musashi senses that the sword is indeed Mikeru. When one of the Bushi approaches Yatero arrogantly, Yatero retaliates by aiming his sword energy at him, nearly ending him were it not for the shield created by some other Bushi. Yatero warns them not to underestimate him, prompting Lord Yusugi to command the Bushi to attack with full power. However, Yatero swiftly eliminates all the Bushi about to attack him with just 2 slashes, the force of which cuts into the surrounding mountain. He boasts about his newfound strength, claiming that he has always envied Bushi for their superiority, but now he surpasses them. As Musashi attacks him, Yatero blocks the blow, asserting that Mikeru is his perfect creation. Mikeru cries out, expressing her disagreement with Yatero's actions. However, Musashi senses his power diminishing as it is being absorbed by Mikeru. Yatero reveals that Mikeru possesses the same power as the obsidian goddess, allowing her to absorb blade energy too. He raises his sword, drawing all the sword energy from the Bushi and forming a constellation in the sky, mirroring the actions of the obsidian goddess. Yatero then unleashes Mikeru's power, causing devastation that reaches the Yusugi fortress, destroying mountains in its wake. Musashi is determined to reach out to Mikeru despite her current state. However, Yatero dismisses his attempts, claiming that Mikeru has been renewed as the perfect sword and is now his tool. Musashi realizes that this is not the Mikeru he knows and loves. As Mikeru's mind begins to conflict with itself, she expresses her confusion and regrets, torn between being her father's perfect tool and her own person. Yatero insists that Mikeru must remain emotionless as the perfect sword, but Musashi disagrees, affirming that the old Mikeru still exists within her. Yatero raises his sword to strike Musashi, but Naotora intervenes, giving Musashi and his friends a chance to regroup. Yusugi, armed with a sword, lends power to Naotora Nad Nea, who charge at Yatero with great speed, but he knocks them out. Yusugi announces he will face Yatero alone to buy time for the others to escape. However, Yatero attacks relentlessly, injuring every single Bushi. As Yatero prepares to strike Musashi and his friends, Kujiro blocks the attack, and suddenly, time freezes. Musashi sees a young Mikeru within an opening in the air and calls out to her. He enters the frozen moment and is transformed into his younger self. Crawling towards Mikeru, he asks her why she refuses to remember him. Mikeru reveals her memories are painful. Showing him her memories, he sees the pain she endured when her father rejected her as a failure. Her cry when she pleads with her father to come back and promises to do anything to make him stay. As Mikeru and Musashi share their heartfelt conversation, they find solace in each other's company, realizing they both have a void within them. Mikeru confesses that she has always remembered Musashi and admits her feelings for him, bringing a radiant smile to his face. She reminisces about their past encounters and the warmth she found in his presence. Musashi extends an invitation to Mikeru, suggesting that they embark on a journey together to discover treasures. He acknowledges that their voids may not be completely healed, but they can find solace and joy in their shared the treasures they uncover along the way. Mikeru accepts his offer, and Musashi pulls her out of the black ball. As they emerge, they find themselves transformed into their grown-up selves, wearing the same attire as they did during their first encounter. Mikeru shares with Musashi that she now remembers him clearly. As the surroundings begin to crumble, Mikeru explains that time is starting to flow again, and she must confront her father to break free from his control. She reveals that Musashi can help by destroying the black stone in her father's possession, the stone he used to turn her into a kaitsu sword. Musashi agrees, and Mikiru assures him that his powers have awakened, granting him the ability to wield the powers of the obsidian goddess. Mikiru shows Musashi 5 colored doors representing the facets of the obsidian goddess's power, indicating that with the blood he consumed, he now possesses her powers. Musashi feels his body surging with energy as the goddess appears before him, asking if he's ready to fight with her power. Musashi accepts. As time resumes its flow, all the Bushi's sword energy, including Yatero's powers, begins to be drawn towards Musashi, creating a constellation in the sky. Initially, Kojiro believes that the goddess has returned to save them, but they soon realize that it's Musashi speaking, not the goddess. Musashi is now in full control, his hair bonded instead of black like the goddesses, and Yatero begins drawing everyone's sword energy too, stating that Musashi is incomplete if he can't control all the sword energy. Yusugi explains that Musashi only has 1/5 of the goddess's power, as he only drank 1/5 of her blood. They both clash swords, and in the ensuing clash between Musashi and Yatero, the latter gains the upper hand and slices off Musashi's left hand, preparing for a final strike. However, Musashi surprises him by blocking his blade with just his fingertip. Revealing that all the blade energy were channeled into his body, he concentrates all the power into his right hand and sends Yatero flying. He then delivers a powerful barrage of punches, knocking Yatero unconscious. The black stone emerges from Yatero's body, and Musashi prepares to destroy it. But time freezes once more, and Mikiru asks to speak with her father first. Despite her hesitation, Musashi encourages Mikiru to express her thoughts. Yatero speaks first, questioning Mikiru's resolve to betray him and reminding her of their shared dream to become powerful beings. Mikiru, however, expresses her desire for her father's affection, but Yatero insists that they are alike in their aspirations. Mikiru ultimately gives up, realizing that Yatero can't understand her, and urges Musashi to destroy the stone. Musashi agrees, but Mikiru reveals that her body will disappear if the stone is destroyed. Musashi struggles to accept this, but Mikiru insists that it's the best outcome for everyone. Nut Yatero says she will not disappear with him, but it's too late for him as he will disappear due to the forbidden art he used. Yatero sees how sad Mikiru feels to lose him and finally begins to grasp Mikiru's feelings, realizing that all he ever wanted was someone to be with him, stemming from his loneliness in his youth. As Mikiru expresses her sadness for him despite everything, Yatero understands that they are not the same, and that Mikiru deserves to be freed from her shackles. In a poignant moment, Yatero looks into Mikiru's eyes for the first time, and Mikiru bids him farewell with a smile as the stone is destroyed, and Yatero is defeated. Mikiru expresses her gratitude to Musashi for giving her the courage to be herself. After the fight to get back Awaji Island, they're still watching Mikiru really closely. She's not in a jail cell but locked in a room, all because Musashi wasn't against putting her in a cell. Kojiro and Tsugumi talk with Lord Yusugi, who tells them about the seal on Kojiro's father's scroll. The seal belongs to his late father, but it turns out Kojiro's father wasn't part of the Yusugi band, as his name isn't in the family records. Maybe he just hung out with them for a little while, but Kojiro doesn't seem upset about not knowing much about his dad. Yusugi notices Kojiro's 2 swords, and Kojiro tells him one was gift from his dad, reminding him of his father's teachings. Yusugi says he would ask the other great generals to find out more about Kojiro's dad, as he might be someone of importance. Yusugi reveals he agreed to do all this because Musashi asked, as he had a meeting with Musashi to ask for his help to beat the bad guys. He says Kojiro will have to drink the goddess blood, which are with the other great generals. Kuroko warns it might be dangerous, but Yusugi says it's important to win against the enemy. Musashi agrees, even though he doesn't have to. Yusugi asks why, and Musashi just says he has his reasons. He also has 2 things he wants: to help find Kojiro's dad and to let Mikiru have a day of freedom. So Musashi meets with Mikiru and tells her she can have fun since he asked permission to let her be released. Nea wonders why Yusugi agreed, and he says it's because Mikiru doesn't have much time left. Musashi tells Mikiru about how Yusugi and Neotora wanted him to join their band, but he refused, saying he actually has his own band called the Kanmaki Band. He introduces Tsugumi and Kojiro to them as his comrades. Both generals acknowledge their band, and everyone else does too. Kojiro wonders if it's all a dream, but Musashi assures him it's real, and their dream is starting to come true. They continue their date, with Musashi giving Mikiru a ring and taking a walk together. Mikiru wishes this could last forever, feeling herself fading, though Musashi doesn't realize how serious it is. As the day ends, Musashi gives Mikiru her kaitsu blade, knowing how important it is to her and how it symbolized her father's recognition. Mikiru smiles, grateful that he remembered. She thanks him for encouraging her to be herself. As she starts to fade and crack, she urges him not to give up on finding the treasure to fill the void in his heart, for her sake. He promises, and they shake hands. But as he realizes she's disappearing, he tries to hug her, but she vanishes, absorbed into her sword, which Musashi grabs onto. Feeling confused and sad, Musashi asks why Mikiru was created in the first place, only to die. He remembers the goddess telling him he has to come over if he wants to know the answers. He decides he'll reach that place and find all the answers he's been searching for. Watch this next video. See you on the next one.